Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. Our show is a production of our nonprofit organization, the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation, and our affiliated political committee, the Campaign for the Restoration and Regulation of Hemp, or CRRH, and THCF. We have a great show for you tonight. Mr. Tim Pate here is here with musical accompaniment. We have some... Hey, Tim.
Good evening, everyone.
We have some... garden shots from the THCF Medical Garden, courtesy of Clay. We also have Madeline Martinez, the Director of Oregon Normal. Hi, Madeline. And Dr. Philip Levesque over here, ready to take your phone calls and questions in just a couple of minutes. We even have a couple of hemp news stories we're going to read from paper since our teleprompter is perpetually broke here, Portland Community Media. But... we'll be back in just a minute after we buy a few crucial seconds with our dancing Cannabis Leaves. Oh, there you are. Welcome back. We have a couple of interesting news stories for you tonight. The first one is from Mexico City, from today. President Felipe Calderón, who's made fighting drug traffickers a centerpiece of his administration, proposed legislation on Thursday that would decriminalize the possession of small quantities of cocaine and other drugs for addicts who agreed to undergo treatment. Mr. Calderón said that the proposal was intended to attack the growing problem of drug addiction in Mexico. Still, it will probably be controversial both at home and abroad. A similar measure 2 years ago provoked strong opposition in the United States and was eventually dropped. A recent government survey found that the number of drug addicts in Mexico has almost doubled over the past 6 years to 307,000, while the number of those who tried drugs rose from 4.5 million, up from 3.5 million. Drugs used to flow through Mexico to the United States, and they still do, but an increasing amount of those narcotics now stay in Mexico to feed the habits of domestic consumers. Under Mr. Calderón's proposal, Mexican authorities would not prosecute people found to be carrying small amounts of drugs if they declared they were addicts and submitted to a treatment program. Those who are not addicts could avoid prosecution by entering a prevention program. Fines could be imposed for those who decline to enter such programs. The new legislation caps the quantities that would be not subject to prosecution at 50 milligrams of heroin, 2 grams of marijuana, 500 milligrams of cocaine, and 40 milligrams of methamphetamine. The Mexican Attorney General's office has said that it is so overwhelmed with prosecuting organized crime that it cannot handle the large number of small-time drug offenses. The measure is reminiscent of a proposal that passed the Mexican Congress 2 years ago but never took effect. It decriminalized possession of small amounts of drugs for people who could convince a judge that they were addicts. That law, which did not require treatment for those found with drugs, provoked an uproar among the United States officials, some of who raised the image of Americans going to Mexico to enjoy legal drugs. Under intense lobbying from the United States, Vicente Fox, the president at the time, asked Congress to amend the law and the measure was dropped. Responding to Mr. Calderón's plan, American officials said Thursday that the United States policy opposed the legalization of even small amounts of drugs. An American official who asked not to be identified said, quote, "It rewards the drug traffickers and doesn't make children's life safer," end quote. They always bring up the children, don't they?
Yeah.
United States officials have helped heap praise on Mr. Calderón for his crackdown on Mexico's drug cartels. Since taking office in December 2006, he sent some 30,000 troops into 8 states and cities in an attempt to quell drug violence. But the violence has only increased. Almost 3,000 people have been killed in drug violence in Mexico in the past year. In a recent interview, an American counter-narcotics official called Mr. Calderón a partner of the United States in the fight against illegal drugs and said that he had shown no signs of backing down in the fight. To buttress Mr. Calderon's effort, the United States Congress has approved $400 million in anti-drug aid for Mexico, part of a larger 3-year package to help Mexico and countries in Central America and the Caribbean battle drug traffickers. Mexico's drug cartels are fighting for control of routes to the United States, which remains the world's primary market for illegal drugs. Increasingly, they are also fighting over control of the growing Mexican market for drug consumption. Our other hip news story for tonight is about a new poll. The Democrats and Republicans agree that the drug war is a failure. A new Zogby poll shows bipartisan consensus that the drug war is a losing battle. 3 in 4 likely voters, or 76%, believe the U.S. war on drugs is failing, a sentiment that cuts across the political spectrum, including the vast majority of Democrats at 86%, political independents at 81%, and most Republicans at 61%. There's also a strong belief that the anti-drug effort is failing among those who intend to vote for Barack Obama, 89%, as well as the supporters of John McCain, 61%. When asked what they believe is the single best way to combat international drug trafficking and illicit use, 27% of likely voters said legalizing some drugs would be the best approach. 34% of Obama supporters said that, and 20% of McCain backers agreed. 1 in 4 likely voters, or 25%, believe stopping the drugs at the border is the best tactic in the battle on drugs. 39% of McCain supporters believe that, but just 12% of Obama supporters agreed. Overall, 19% of likely voters said that reducing demand through treatment and education should be the top focus. 13% believe the best way to fight the war on drugs is to prevent production of narcotics in the country of origin. At first glance, 27% support for legalization appears disappointing, but a look at the question itself provides a much more encouraging outlook. Respondents were asked to select the single best way to handle the war on drugs, and here's the breakdown of their responses. Prevent production of narcotics at the country of origin, 12.7%. Stop drugs at the U.S. border, 24.8%. Reduce demand among treatment and education, 18%. Legalizing some drugs in the United States, 27.5%. End the war on drugs, 8.2%. And not sure or none of the above, 8.1%. Legalization was the most popular answer, and support for interdiction and eradication encompassed only 37.5% of the respondents. Thus, the majority clearly shows some support for levels of reform. So that is where we stand in the recent Zogby poll, I'm happy to say. Now we're going to go over and talk to Mr. Tim Pate. How are you doing, Tim?
Oh, Paul, I am just fine this week. How are you?
I am hanging in here.
Yeah, you've been traveling all week, or you've been home?
No, I've been home. I'm a
Yay.
little fender bender just before, or it actually wasn't a fender bender. It was more like a headlight cracker before the show slowed me down, but so it goes.
Well, you made it. You were here earlier than normal.
I know. It's
How does
amazing,
that work?
You have a song for us.
I do. Well,
And
you know,
we
it's
have
one of those
some
rainy
pictures
kind of
from the
nights.
garden.
And so I figured I might as well play a little blues because it seems to fit on a rainy kind of night. No, we can't. You keep your song list to yourself, Dr. Lebeck.
You got to tell them in advance. Work that out in advance.
Saw you with another guy. Yeah, I went downtown. Saw you with another guy. And when you took his hand, well, that's when I began to cry. I got a crush on you. There's no denying it. But you done me wrong. There's no use you lying about it. I wish I could let it alone, but all I can do is cry about it. So if I go downtown, I'm afraid of what I might see. And I've called you on the phone, well, you probably just hang up on me. Oh, baby, I'm just not strong enough to let it be. So I'm crying. Yeah, I'm crying. I got a crush on you. There's no denying it. But you done me wrong. No use you lying about it. But I know now all I can do, yeah, all I can do is cry about it.
All right. Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome. Sad song on a rainy night.
It's a good one for a rainy night. I'd like to reintroduce Madeline Martinez. How you doing, Madeline?
I'm doing well, Paul. How are you?
Very well, very well. And how about you, Dr. Levesque?
I'm all wet.
You're wet?
This
You've been smoking out in the rain?
This is Oregon.
If you're going to smoke outside, you got to be in the rain.
Right.
Yeah. I got a little rain on my shoulders today. You know, we are taking phone calls this evening. If you have a question for us tonight on the 3rd of October, 2008, then you can call us at 503-288-4448. We'll be taking your calls up to the top of the hour. That's 503-288-4448. And so, thanks for bringing that news in, Madeline. That always
You're
spiced
welcome.
up things
I like a little bit of news to get out there to our viewers.
That's true.
I think it's important to be updated on what we get.
Yeah, the poll.
Huge list of mail that we get every day.
Yeah. It looks like we've got over 35% of Americans agree that we need to legalize some drugs or end the war on drugs.
It's such a huge waste of money.
It
when you
is.
hear about what the United States is sending to Mexico and to other countries just to fight drugs, and the reality is we could use that money right here in our country.
Yeah, and we are working on that. Madeline and I are chief petitioners on the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act petition, which would legalize the sale of marijuana to adults through Oregon's state liquor store system and allow anyone to grow their own without a license. If you want to grow it for sales, you'd have to get a license and sell it through the regulated store and bars or coffee shops, however they regulate that in the end. Then it would allow pharmacies to sell marijuana at the cost they get it from the farmer to patients. And it would also allow farmers to grow industrial hemp for 50,000 different products, including fuel, food, fiber, medicine, many other things. We have a caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hi. I had a question about outdoor growing. I actually do have a medical marijuana card, and this year was the first time I decided to do it outdoors. The only problem is that now it's starting to get so cold and rainy that we're just about 60 degrees. I'm wondering what your guys' advice is as far as harvesting. Do you think we should do it now or wait till next week? Or
I think you should look at your flowers very closely, and this is exactly what we're doing. We're looking, we have a couple days of rain, and over the next week we have a day of sunshine. At least the forecast says a day of sunshine, a day of rain, a day of sunshine, a day of rain. If any of your plants are showing mold right now, I think it's a good idea to go ahead and harvest those plants.
Yeah,
and if you've got plants
so far, so I think I'm getting the clear for now.
Yeah, if you have plants that are free of mold right now, I think if you put them under a tarp, like in a greenhouse situation, on the rainy days and open that up on the non-rainy days, we still have at least a week and maybe 2 of good growing weather left.
Great, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Hope that helped. That's what we're doing. We harvested several because of mold, and as you can see from the garden, they're looking pretty good overall.
Yeah,
those pictures, while Tim was playing, were actually just taken yesterday by one of the people working in our control room in the THCF Medical Gardens, and so we're harvesting a lot of it right away just because of mold.
Last year one of the things that we did was we put a plant outside, obviously out of public view, but we brought it in when the rain started. We were lucky enough to put it in a big enough container. We just lugged it in. I shouldn't say it. I didn't just do it, but my husband and our son did it.
Big people.
Big people did it, and we put it underneath our high-pressure sodium, and it really yielded.
That's a real good way to do it.
It was an excellent way. So for those of you who are thinking about it for next year, you can get them out there and then bring them in and finish them off under your nice warm light.
I find by putting them right in the ground, though, they get so much bigger.
They do.
And so it's worth it. Kind of just, if you can put them in the ground, and you don't have to worry about pulling them in for one reason or another.
I also know about people that force them all year round.
Yeah.
That's another interesting concept, too.
Yeah, I've known folks who do that. They just cover it and put it into the dark a little early, so they get 12 hours of nighttime and go and start flowering.
Yeah, exactly.
In the good time of the year when we don't have these cold rains like we have tonight.
Right.
Definitely helps with mold. And there's a lot of molds.
Just air drying these in ambient rooms or something like that, or are you?
Well, no, we're keeping them in a cool, dry spot and using dehumidifiers.
Oh, yeah.
Things like that. Pouring gallons of water out of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show. Hello, caller.
Hi, I was just wondering, I actually had an opinion. And I was wondering if Obama gets elected, do you believe he's going to go ahead and decriminalize for us?
Well, I don't know about decriminalize, but Obama has said that he will stop the raids on medical marijuana clinics and dispensaries and allow the states to allow medical marijuana. He said that he would stop the federal government from interfering in state medical marijuana laws, and that would be a big step forward.
And he also added that he would like to see some more science, some more studies done on its use, and that's really important.
And we have a lot of science going on. It's just that currently the federal government lies about that science and denies that it exists. They kind of have the, if they were Pinocchio, their nose would be about 15 feet long by now,
The emperor wears no clothes.
Right.
Their pants are on fire.
Yeah.
Right.
So the government, under the Bush administration and under the Clinton administration as well, just blatantly lied about marijuana and said there's no scientific evidence to show medical efficacy of medicinal cannabis, where There are thousands of studies that show that marijuana makes good medicine. Recently, studies in the past month have shown that marijuana stops the progression of multiple sclerosis. So if you have multiple sclerosis or other neurodegenerative diseases, the best thing you could do is to eat cannabis 3 or 4 times a day to stop the progression of your disease.
And you know
nothing else is shown to stop the progression.
I also wanted to add that John McCain believes that we're all criminals, and there is no medicinal use for marijuana.
And he wants to continue the raids on medical clinics in California and expand them to other states.
Right, just had to add that.
So you can guess who we're voting for.
Exactly. I agree with you 100%. I'm from Arizona, and McCain, no.
Yeah, that's right. McCain is no friend of ours.
Right.
Thank you very much. I appreciate what you're doing for us.
Thank you. We're proud to be able to help. Thanks for your call.
We got a caller in the audience here.
We have an audience participation question. You know, we have a live audience, and you can come down and watch our show any Friday night if you come down to 2766 Northeast MLK or Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thanks.
It's Sister Sativa.
So I guess my question is, it's not exactly a question, but in a way it is. I'm wondering if many of your viewers are aware that something very exciting has come down the pike from the state of Washington, that the state of Washington has finally set some guidelines for folks who are medical cannabis patients in Washington.
That's a good point.
And that now they can have 15 plants and 24 ounces on hand.
Yeah.
So no more do patients in Washington have to wonder how much is a 60-day supply, will I be okay, are the police going to come to my door if I have 2 plants. So now that goes into effect, I guess, November 1st. So I was just hoping that everybody was aware of that, because I know we have a lot of viewers from Washington, and I wanted everyone to know that so that they could feel that perhaps they feel some progress has been made.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That's a great point. You know, here in Oregon, we're allowed to have 24 plants, but only 6 of them can be flowering at one time. Under the new Washington law, they can have 15 plants in any stage of growth. So they could have 15 if they didn't have any other plants. 15 plants flowering at once. So that's a big step forward.
I understand there was an awful lot of opposition to this changing of this Washington law. Do you know anything about that?
Oh, sure. There's a lot of groups up there that say they need more plants than that. A lot of folks don't believe you can get more than an ounce or 2 off a budding plant. Now, I personally have seen, 10 pounds off of one budding plant. But they don't believe that. When I tell them I can get over a pound, they say, "Oh, you're lying." Well, did you see those pictures in the music? We'll run some more of those pictures here in a little while. We can definitely get more than a pound off of a plant. And it all depends on how you grow it. If you put a big plant out in the late spring and let it vegetate through the summer and let it bud right now, you're going to get a good harvest. It's going to be significantly more than a pound per plant.
Do you know what Green Cross is doing up in the Seattle area?
Yeah, they're a dispensary, and they opposed this limit, but they wanted a larger limit. I think they wanted like 99 plants and 72 ounces or something like that. But they've got what they got. It's 15 plants and 24 ounces. So in Oregon and Washington now we have a 24 ounce per patient limit. I think that's pretty generous.
Well, they followed our lead at least on the 24 ounces. I know
exactly.
Our own program manager went down there to some of the hearings they were having and let them know about ours.
I think that's a good idea. I think I like the 15 plants in any stage better than the 24 plants with 6 of them flowering and 18 less than a foot tall or a foot wide. 15 plants without those silly limits seems a little bit better to me.
Yeah, it seems sensible.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe so.
I could easily see, you've got a mother plant, 5 budding plants, 5 teenage plants, and some cuttings coming along to get ready for the next step.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hi. I just wonder if you guys happen to see any of the local news tonight. There was at least 2 of the 4 local news channels had a story about medical marijuana, legal medical marijuana grow sites, especially in Washington County. It sounded like we're having 2 different types of problems. One was they mentioned something about the criminal element that there was thieves, people that wanted to steal the marijuana that were doing, like armed break-ins and stealing the plants and whatnot.
Yeah, we faced that ourselves right here in Multnomah County too.
Okay.
And in our garden.
Okay, and then they also mentioned that some of these so-called medical marijuana grow sites, as they put it, that they were also had some kind of illegal activity where they were selling it, I guess, outright to different people, so that they weren't supposed to be.
Those people give the whole program a bad name.
Right.
And if they are doing that, they're going to lose their right to grow marijuana. Right. And I think that's a right to grow medical marijuana under the program, and I think that's appropriate.
And what I was going to say is, you folks might want to take and research, and maybe if you can go on their website and
look at
view what I viewed, and then also use your wherewithal to make a determination if the story that they're telling is true, and maybe we can, or not when I say we, maybe you guys can put the word out in the next few shows of what the real truth is.
Yeah, well, we'd be happy to do it. There's one story up in Vancouver, Washington, a couple weeks ago. We had a patient call our office and say, Channel 12 News is going to go live in front of my house, and everybody in the world's going to come rip me off. And they didn't want him to go live in front of their house because a neighbor had written a letter of complaint to the local news place. Now, this lady had 2 plants outdoors, only 2 plants. And the night after the thing was shown on Fox TV, one of those plants was stolen. And then 2 nights after that, they caught some teenagers stealing the other plant. And they arrested that teenager, and he admitted he saw it on Fox TV and was coming there to steal from her based on Fox News.
Well, you just have to wonder if it wasn't pre-planned by Fox, especially Fox.
I called Fox while they were outside of her house and told them they should not do that. If they wanted to talk about it, I was willing to talk to them about it, but they never contacted me back on that.
Well, what I'm saying is, I bet you that they knew what the end result was going to be, and that's what their agenda
they set it
was.
up for this lady to get robbed, and that's what happened to her. It was just, I think the guy who wrote the letter, he should be the one really punished in this, but, that's my opinion.
Hey, by the way, what's the name of Dr. Levesque's book on his exploits in WW2 over there in Italy?
Dog-Faced Soldier?
Yeah, Dog-Faced Soldier.
Yeah.
Dog-Faced Soldier.
That was the name of a infantry person.
Punch up Salem-News on your computer, and my advertisement is right there.
Let me write down that website again. What's it called?
It's Salem, SALEM, -news, NEWS.com.
Yeah.
.com.
Yeah,
and the name of the book is called Dog-Faced Soldier?
No, it's called General Patton's Dog-Faced Soldier. I'm a survivor of General Patton's army.
Okay.
Yay!
I heard he wasn't necessarily the nicest guy to work for.
He was a SOB, a sweet old brother.
Blood and guts. That was his
blood
name,
and guts.
Your blood, your
Our
guts.
blood, his guts.
Something like that.
Oh, he was awful.
So it's General Patton's Dog-Faced Soldier, huh?
Yep.
I got to get me one of those copies of that book then. Well, hey, you guys keep up the good work.
I've sold 3,000 of them, so get in line.
Yeah, now you have how many?
I've sold 3,000.
Oh, okay. Is there many more left, or are they out of print?
Yeah, I got some.
Okay, great.
I saw you on OPB, on the local public broadcasting. They had a special about people who were survivors of World War II. That was what, just about a year ago?
Well, it was made about a year ago, but they show it about every 6 months.
Yeah, I saw it about 6 months.
1 hour show, and they were out at my house for about 4 hours, and so I'm on their television show for 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was a pretty good little clip. Well, thanks for your call and your question.
Hey, one quick question. I don't have internet access right now. Could I just go to like Powell's and pick it up or someplace like that? Or
no, you can't get it at Powell's.
Paul doesn't like not enough blood and guts.
Okay. I'll have to have a friend and line me up through your internet.
We'll figure something out. Just call our office at that number there on your screen, 503-235-4606, and tell them you want Dr. Levesque's book, and we'll do the best we can. All right. Well, thanks for your question. We're going to go to a song. How are you, Tim?
Well, actually, I wanted to mention I got an email here just either today or yesterday that there was a dispensary down in Los Angeles that had been armed. There was an armed robbery, and the unarmed guard in the dispensary was shot and killed. Ow. And so these things, this is a dangerous time. When your medicine comes in, you need the best security of the year. And obviously, you know, there are opportunities that abound. If you have loose lips, it will sink ships. And I had a friend just this last week who his entire garden was also raided, not raided by the police, but raided by pirates.
You know, we're kind of got loose slips on this show.
It's a dangerous time, and so just, you know, be aware, be cautious, and have your security on alert, because you know, you don't want to lose your life over this. And there are people out there who are willing to do things like that.
I've got a little story about Fox News. You remember that they made a show on us on Broadway?
I've still got that video clip somewhere in the archives.
Oh yeah, fine. Well, the whole thing it is that they made a video of it, which they showed on Fox News, and they introduced it with the music
Reefer Man.
Reefer Man.
I remember that. Have you ever seen that funny Reefer Man? I'll spare you the rest. I'll leave that over to Tim here. In fact, Tim, you got a song, and
you got some pictures.
We got pictures. You got music, and
show me these 10-pound plants you got. You know, I'll put some music behind it every time.
I don't know if they're quite that much, but we're hoping.
All right. Anytime you're ready.
They are ready. Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Here's some more photos from the THCF Medical Gardens just made yesterday. Those photos are all just from yesterday. That's as fresh as
Were
it
those
gets.
fat, juicy, big, green, luscious, trichromy kind of pictures?
Yeah.
I didn't get to
gnarly,
see them.
Juicy, skunky.
I mean, if
all
that's
of
what
those.
they were, then I'm, you know,
And we have
good things to
had
look forward
several
to.
groups of people try to break in. We had one team of 8 attack my 3 guards.
Oh,
one of them, the guards chased them, and you could see This guy chasing after 3 people, 2 more. So the one guy's chasing 5 people and they're running off. He decided he'd stop after a while.
Good move.
Good move, yeah. But they dropped a big, long kitchen knife with a blade about that long. Last year, someone also dropped a similarly long kitchen knife.
See, they
when
come
we
with
chased
weapons.
them out of the garden.
That's not a good thing.
That is frightening.
Yeah,
That is
and
frightening.
so, but you know, my thing is I just want to, or have them arrested. As we said here last week, our guards simply have cameras and cell phones, and their job is to tell them they're stealing from sick and dying people,
Yes.
and to call the police and do their best to get arrested. And hauling one of those plants away, well, you know, if you've got a 1-pound plant, it's going to weigh 20 pounds when
Yeah.
it's wet.
Yeah, it is.
If you have a 2-pound plant, it's going to weigh 40 pounds when it's wet. And it's going to leave a trail of leaves behind it.
Yes, it
and
is.
how many 40-pound to 100-pound plants can these guys
So true.
carry off, you know?
One
So,
good bloodhound, you know, somebody with eyesight, you're caught. And the cameras do
and
work.
we've got
The
cameras there
work.
filming them, too. We got a neat photo last year of the guy jumping the fence and his foot getting caught in this top trellis and hanging there for about
Bummer.
4 seconds before he fell the remaining 12 feet to the ground.
Well, it's serious when people die over this.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and so
Fortunately,
you
we
have to
haven't had
be
a
worried.
problem like that, but those, you know, clubs down in California are known to take in some big money.
Yes.
You know, and people
Yes, they
will
are.
steal marijuana that wouldn't steal anything else, too.
That's correct.
Especially in this economy where everyone's struggling. I mean, they're going and robbing banks. What's going to stop them from going to a dispensary?
Exactly.
But I wanted to mention, Paul, about Providence, Milwaukee, Pamela
Pamela Meyer, that's a great thing to mention.
Wasn't that a great story? You know, she
We haven't talked
was
about
really
that
sad.
since.
Pamela was taken off the transplant list for liver because she had used marijuana. And unfortunately, or fortunately, she's been put back on because everyone...
we put in a series of phone calls.
We made a series of phone calls. You people out there, our viewers, made phone calls to Providence, Milwaukee. At the normal meeting we had, the Oregon normal meeting, we had people make phone calls, and all of those phone calls, believe it or not, you know, people think, well, how can I make a difference? One person. Well, each of us has a small voice, but together we're a giant roar. And now Pamela's back on the list,
That's
and
so
I'm
important.
so happy about it.
Hopefully they'll find a liver that matches, and she'll move forward
So
with
true.
that.
Exactly.
And she'll live many decades to come.
Yes.
You know, I'd like to say that you know, as a member of NORML, that was one of my proudest moments as a member of NORML. Tears came to my eyes when I heard that she was put back on that list.
Yeah.
I truly mean that. And then to follow up that, last week I read a letter on the show, and you guys at the meeting on Saturday, by the time I got to the meeting, Anna Diaz had a box full of 200 letters to respond to Ron Wyden's misinformation concerning medical marijuana or marijuana in general, and so I saw almost a full box of signed documents ready to be mailed out back to Wyden and let him know that we're listening and we are paying attention to what you have to
Exactly.
And
say.
we don't like what we're hearing out of Ron Wyden's
That's
office
a
or
big-
any other
It's important.
And
U.S.
Anna woke
senator
up
here
early in
from
the
Oregon.
morning, wrote that letter, and Oregon Normal's paying for the postage, and we're getting them to Ron Wyden, and
great
he's going to
letter.
know exactly what we feel.
That's a great letter.
Yes. I think it's wonderful when we can all act and rally around each other and really make things happen. Like we took down the domino effect last year. They tried to syntax us because we're marijuana patients. How do you syntax disabled
medical
people?
marijuana. I mean,
Yeah.
why don't they syntax OxyContin?
Exactly.
you
know,
know.
it's ridiculous. And we made a
Vicodin.
difference, and they pulled the domino effect. The idea for them to try to take more money from us, raise our fees.
Yeah, that's outrageous.
That's
Thank goodness your hard work paid off and we stopped that craziness.
Well, that's what writing a letter or picking up the phone, sending a fax, whatever. It's 42 cents to have your voice heard out there. It's important. Do it.
They do listen.
They
we
do.
We can have an effect. That's the most important thing I'd like to say tonight. You know, that we can have an effect.
And that's the most important thing as citizens. We are government. And if we don't participate, shame on us for
So
not
true.
doing so. And let me remind you all that it's really, the clock is ticking away for you to register to vote. And no matter who you vote for, don't just sit there. Get up and vote.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll vote with the right people. But do your own thing.
I wrote a medical answer to Ron Wyden's letter, and it will be posted on Salem-News.
All right, excellent. Good work.
It should be up now, but I don't know. I turned it in about last
Bonnie's
Tuesday.
pretty quick there.
Yeah, she is pretty quick.
She's a good one. If you're out there and you have a question for us tonight, give us a call at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. We do have a caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show. Hi.
Hello. How are you doing tonight?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Really well. You know, I really want to give a big shout out to Dr. Levesque and Paul. You know, the first time I met the both of you guys was over there in that little building right on Sandy. You guys helped me get my card there, and
the
Dr. Levesque gave me a copy of that book, Dog Face, while I was there and everything, and it was a pretty good read. And you know, one thing, I'm sitting around with a couple friends tonight, and you were talking about the initiative a little bit earlier, and we're registered voters here, and we're wondering if it was still possible to sign.
Oh yeah, we are gathering signatures for some time to come. We are still in just the beginning stages of the petition campaign. We have technically until July of 2010 to gather signatures, but I'm hoping we turn them in long before that. But yeah, we have an office at 105 Southeast 18th Avenue. You can come by there Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5, and somebody will be there, and there's petitions available. You can sign the petition. If you want to pick up petitions and get some signatures on them, you can certainly do that. It's a lot easier to circulate petitions in Oregon this year due to a change the legislature made. It used to be you had to have a separate sheet for each different county. So that meant if you were in Portland, you had to sign one of 3 different sheets, because though most of Portland is in Multnomah County, some of Portland's in Clackamas County, and some of it's in Washington County. If you signed the wrong sheet, your signature didn't count. Now, there's just one sheet for the whole state, so you don't have to sign a different sheet for each different county, and that makes it a lot easier to circulate petitions.
You know, there's one last thing that I have to say. You know, I've heard a lot about growing outdoors here tonight, and everybody needs to be reminded of the fact that there's 2 words in the law that say or 3, in public view.
Exactly.
The guy over there on 4409 Northeast 116th, you know, he had a tarp up and everything, and his neighbor looked through a knot hole in the security fence at the back of his property, and, you know, they considered that public view, and so, you know, everybody needs to be careful, you know, making sure that their outdoor thing is completely obscured from any other view, just to, you know, stay out of the way of the police there.
Very good point.
As a matter of fact, one attorney told me that if you can get up on a mountain or at a high level and you can see through binoculars, that is considered public view. So that's frightening when you think about it. I mean, what if you're sunbathing? I mean, really, that's public view. So you have to be really careful about it.
Yeah. I personally put up an 8-foot fence and then put 3 feet of crosshatch on top of that. And so we have, 11-foot tall area. And so we've had the police out there several times. We let them count the plants last year. Didn't let them count them this year. But they haven't bothered us over that.
I had a 12-foot fence, and I had a blue tarp all the way along the entire thing, but there was a little hole right on the very end. If you walked right up to the edge and took a peek around the corner, you could see it, and that was good enough for them to hit my door at 90 at 7 in the morning.
Oh, my God.
So, but, you know, that's the way it goes. Just be really careful with that, you know, obscuring the view completely.
Mm-hmm. That is important. Very good point. Thanks for bringing that up.
All right. You guys have a great night.
You too. You too.
And happy harvest to everybody out there. Be really careful.
We're gearing up for Halloween. I call it Halloween.
Yes.
And everything should be nice and dry by then. And we're really gearing up for Oregon Normal's Medical Cannabis Awards coming up December 13th.
December the 13th. And we're looking for entries, so get those that harvest all ready for us and cured. They need to be your samples need to be turned in by November the 7th at 5 p.m. So I'm accepting applications right now. We're getting a lot of them in the mail. We're getting some from Grants Pass and Coos Bay and I think it's Astoria.
We have a real statewide contest here.
Yeah.
And I know the winner the last couple of years is from way out in eastern Oregon.
Right, out in Long Creek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long way out.
They come out way from eastern Oregon to let us sample their wares, and it's some really nice medicine, I must say. Now, all of our judging positions have been filled.
How many?
28 judges.
Limited to 28. I'm sure you could have got hundreds.
Oh, we could have got hundreds, but, you know, we want to keep it that old school, like our original law.
Makes sense. We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hello. Hi. One thing, like, on that widened letter, like, marijuana is not a gateway drug. It's actually the other way around.
Yeah.
I mean, it allows people to get off of other drugs.
Yeah. In fact, a lot of these medicinal cannabis bottles here say on their label that they're used to get off cocaine, chloroform, opiates, and alcohol. It says that that's what it was used for traditionally.
It's like, you know, if you look at a beautiful sunset, that doesn't mean that you're going to want to go try meth after that, you know.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, I understand.
You know what I mean? And,
well, you know, I've always said that marijuana is not a gateway drug, and recently the Institute of Medicine, back in, what was it, 1999 or 2000, they said that marijuana is not a gateway drug. I believe marijuana prohibition's a gateway to the black market. When you take marijuana out of the black market, the use of all other drugs, are legal or illegal, are going to decline precipitously.
Right. And then one other comment, as far as drug testing, it seems like most people look at, you know, the overall debate, they debate the question of, you know, is this constitutional, you know, in the larger sense, but in a more specific sense, it's like it must definitely be unconstitutional in terms of a certain group, like a body of people who are using tax dollars to carry out this kind of intrusion on citizens, where they themselves are not subject to those same intrusions or, you know, inspections.
Exactly, and that's one of the points we brought up in the preamble to our Oregon Cannabis Tax Act, that marijuana users are treated as criminals, while alcohol and tobacco users are afforded protection by the state and assured of the quality and purity and potency of the drugs that they buy, the alcohol and tobacco. And so that is something that was raised in the preamble of our law. Now, what our petition would do, and there's the website for it right there, cannabistaxact.org, or you can go to octa2010.org as well, if you want a shorter one to type. It would allow adults to grow their own marijuana without a license. If you wanted to grow it for sales, you'd have to get a license and sell it through the state. Then the state would sell it through state liquor stores and bars that don't allow minors in, people under 21, and it would allow industrial hemp to be cultivated without regulations, and allow patients to get medical marijuana through pharmacies. We need your signatures on this petition. It's just in the starting phase. You can go to that website and print out petitions. You can come down to our office at 105 Southeast 18th Avenue. What we want to do is see a vote in November 2010, about 2 years from now, to end adult marijuana prohibition here in Oregon. And if we win, come January 1st, 2011, marijuana will be legal here. Well, and taxed and regulated.
But the thing is, though, I think the White House, you know, should be drug tested, and also DEA should also be drug tested. You know, if they're gonna use tax dollars to drug test other citizens, you know, it seems like it's unconstitutional if they're not also subject under the same, you know, if they're saying that they're
unfortunately, our country has gone from being the land of the free to being the land of the pee.
Exactly.
We all have to pee in the bottle and give them our precious bodily fluids. But we're going to try to end that and restore freedom here in America with our Cannabis Tax Act petition. We sure hope you'll come out and sign it and support it and help us put this thing on the ballot.
Yeah, I've actually already signed it myself.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate what you guys are doing. One thing, I'd like to. That'd be cool if you guys had T-shirts, you know, with like Paul with your face on it, and it says, "There you have it." Isn't that great?
I don't know. That sounds pretty frightening to me. That might get little babies to cry and stuff. They'll say, No. We do have T-shirts. We've got to bring one in next week, and we'll show you.
Okay.
They have the Oregon
They're
Cannabis
actually-
Tax Act on it.
And they're on hemp. 55% hemp,
There you have it.
45% cotton.
Yeah.
But Paul's
Thank you,
picture
guys.
is
Have a good
not
night.
on it.
Thank
My
you.
picture's not there. I don't want to be like what was that guy,
Poster
Tom
child?
Peterson, with his
Yeah.
on the get a little watch with me there. There you have it. All right, but thank you. I
Thank
appreciate
you. Okay, good night.
your calls and questions and support.
Freeze a great prize.
We have a local person who is a studio audience member who has a question.
Yeah, I was been watching about the elections on the news. Everything, bringing up the energy, bringing up everything about the budget and everything, and gay marriages and stuff. Why do you think it is that they don't bring anything up about the drug laws, the marijuana laws, or do you think they just don't want to touch it because it might burn them, or?
Well, it's been such an emotional subject for so long, and the public's finally starting to come our way on it. It really, once you start talking about it, the tempers fly, and you got to. I think we will see more and more of it. Right now, though, by and large, most politicians are against it, which doesn't reflect the way the people feel. This poll showed that 40% of the people are in favor
such
of.
a good amount of people want it. I mean, why isn't that important?
In the political system, the most powerful lobbyists are police unions and law enforcement lobbyists. And they have such a vested interest in cannabis prohibition that they fight tooth and nail over anything to stop arresting adults for marijuana. They always say, it sends the wrong message to children. Well, I think having children selling marijuana to each other in the grade schools sends the wrong message to children myself. We need to take the market for these things out of the hands of the children and put it in the liquor stores where the age limit of 21 is strictly enforced. Before alcohol prohibition ended, it was not uncommon for them to close down the high schools because all the high school students were drunk. Well, that's because all the high school students were the ones that the bootleggers got to go sell the stuff. And so when marijuana prohibitions ended, we won't see kids using it nearly as much. Since we've had medical marijuana in Oregon, the use of marijuana by children has gone down, and the same thing has happened in all medical marijuana states. There's something about old, sick people using marijuana that doesn't appeal to children. And so I think that's what we've got to do. We've got to educate them and regulate the market.
Exactly. And I think we also have to look at this as an innovative approach to our energy and our economic struggles that we're facing here in the state of Oregon as well as in the country. If we could just embrace the reality that we could bring in huge amounts of revenue by legalizing industrial hemp and by putting marijuana behind the counter and letting people use it, I believe that we could really solve these problems. But back to your question, all the politicians that I've spoken to tell me that it's a political hot potato that they don't want to touch. And basically that's it. That's why they need to hear from you.
Yeah, we got to convince them that it's time to touch it, and we're going to support them if they do.
Exactly.
For the medical marijuana patients out there, if you're having troubles learning how to cultivate, we have cultivation classes for medical marijuana patients. We have indoor and outdoor cultivation classes for beginners, intermediate growers, and advanced growers, and classes on how to make medical grade hashish extracts and other food. So if you're interested in those, give us a call at that number there on your screen, 503-235-4606. We have classes right here in Portland every Wednesday night at 5:30 to 7:30. The Medicine Man will be there, ready to pass on his considerable knowledge to you. I guess we have another caller, though. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Yes, hello.
Hi.
I was just curious. I was talking to a gentleman here on the phone a minute ago, and he was saying that you guys have your own cannabis educational school on how to grow.
Yeah, that's what I was just talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can come down to it every Wednesday night. We have classes. They're very, very inexpensive. They're almost free. And if you're interested in more information, you can just come down every Wednesday night at 5:30 to 7:30, or just come down anytime and get more information at 105 Southeast 18th Avenue. That's a block south of Burnside. at the corner of Ankeny and 18th, or you can call us at 503-235-4606.
Right. Now, you guys say it's extremely affordable. I was just curious, in the process of educating people, I know that the state has clamped down on issuing free samples or
the state has never issued free samples.
Well, no, I mean they've clamped down on people doing that. Like when I first signed up for your guys, when I first back in '98, '99, my wife and I first signed up with you and Dr. Levesque. We come and saw you guys.
Yeah, we were giving out free samples that people donated to us. I donated as much as I could. We came down. We had people donating every day. But when the Raich decision came down in June of 2005. And that basically protected patients from federal interference. We decided we had to stop that because that protection afforded by the Raich decision at the Ninth Circuit Court was overturned by the Supreme Court again in June of 2005. So the very next day in June 2005, we had to stop doing that. But Oregon Normal has these once-a-month meetings for members only. And
I am a member. We go to the meetings.
Yeah, so you know about those.
Yeah, and I know they have their Sister Sativa table down there that they do try and give out cuttings. What I was curious about, though, is possibly being able to start a growing school where you could maybe give out, say, 10 free seeds to somebody and then teach them how to grow in the privacy of their own home.
Well, I'll tell you, that definitely is a possibility. And once... if we see a change in the federal administration and the federal government changes their policy, you can believe we'll be much more hands-on in terms of helping patients.
Is it illegal to do that, though? Would it be illegal to show somebody how to grow and give them 10 free seeds so they can do that?
No, that would not be illegal.
Okay, well, I just wanted to let everybody know that I myself am going to be starting a school where I educate people in the ways of growing cannabis, and I am giving out 10 free seeds with every person that enrolls. The school is very, very affordable. I will be at the normal meeting this month handing out flyers. My name is Troy, and my number is 503-477-7111 if anybody'd like to contact me. I have... seeds straight out of Amsterdam, very high quality. We grow a lot of White Widow.
Okay, thank you, Troy. We are down to just less than 2 minutes to go here.
Can I do an advertising?
Go. Thanks for your call, though, Troy. Sure. What do you want to say? You got
anybody that wasn't here last Friday? I'm on at least 3 websites, and I have my cards here to tell you how to do that. So after we're over here, come up here and get a card.
For those of you in the studio audience. I want to just also say real briefly that if you are out there and you are looking for a doctor to help you get a medical marijuana permit, then we have doctors who can help you all over the western United States. I'm only going to give out 2 numbers. The one here in Portland is 503-235-4606, the one you've seen up there. And if you're outside of the Portland area, you can call us at 1-800-723-0188. That's 1-800-723-0188. Anything you want to say in closing, Madeline?
I just want to ask all of you to sign the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act and help us end the war on Americans.
And restore hemp.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. I'm Mr. Tim Pate.